This LOS is determine the value at expiration, the profit, maximum loss, break-even underlying price at expiration, and payoff graph of the strategies of buying and selling calls and puts, and determine the potential outcomes for investors using these strategies. Before we jump into this LOS, we'll just do a quick little review on the pricing and valuation of options. So first of all, looking at the calls, remember the exercise value of a European call when it's expiry is the maximum of 0 or the underlying price at expiration minus the exercise price. Because remember, with a call, you've got the right but not the obligation to buy. So if the exercise price is 100, you've got the right to buy a stock at 100, and the underlying price is 105, then you want to buy low and sell high. Okay, I think we've reviewed that quite a bit in the previous LOS. So we know that the profit is the maximum of 0 or the underlying price at expiration minus the exercise price, which we have here. Okay. So the call is in the money if the underlying price at expiration is greater than the exercise price, and it is out of the money if the underlying price at expiration is less than. Because if this was, say, 95, you would say, why would I have the right but not the obligation to buy at 100? Why would I buy at 100 if the underlying price was at 95? So the option would expire worthless at 0. Okay. Now what we didn't do in the last LOS is we didn't look at the profits. You know, the maximum profit. We didn't look at the maximum loss, and we didn't look at the break even. And that's what we're doing in this LOS. So it's not going to be too difficult. You can see, what is my maximum loss? Well, if the option expires at 0, I had to pay for the option because I bought the call. So my maximum loss would be the option premium, okay, if I'm long on the call. My maximum profit can be unlimited. The stock price can be going up in theory to infinity, okay? And my break even is just going to be the exercise price plus the premium that I paid. But anyhow, we'll jump into that and look at some examples. But I just wanted to show you that in the previous LOS, we didn't talk about profit, we didn't talk about loss, and we didn't talk about break even. But it's just building up from this foundation that we did, okay? So then, and recall we did the value of the European call option inversely related to the exercise price. With regards to a put, you have, if you're long a put, you have the right but not the obligation to sell the stock. So therefore, the value of the exercise, the value of the put at exercise is going to be maximum of 0 or the exercise price minus the price at expiration. Because again, you want to sell high and buy low. So in this case, if the exercise price is 100 and the underlying is at 95, you can see 100 minus 95, I have a profit of 5 because I can sell at 100 and buy at 95, okay? So the put is in the money if the underlying price at expiration is less than the exercise price, and it's out of the money if the underlying price at expiration is above, okay? So again, in this case, we didn't talk about the profit, the loss, or the break even, but we're going to do that in the next and upcoming slides, okay? And remember, the option price is the intrinsic value plus the time value. That was just a little bit of a review. No time value at expiry. And the intrinsic value is we've looked at those calculations, okay? So now we're just going to jump into it. We're going to look at the calls first. The profit from buying a call is the value at expiration, so maximum 0 or the underlying minus the exercise price, minus C0, which is the option premium. The maximum profit is infinite, and the maximum loss is the option premium, okay? And the break-even underlying price at expiration is the exercise price plus the option premium. And don't worry, we're going to look at this in a graph in the upcoming slide. When one sells a call, these results are reversed. So that, what does that mean when you sell a call? Well, your maximum loss is unlimited. Your maximum gain is the option premium, okay? With regards to puts, the profit from buying a put is the value at expiration, which, as we saw, we did that quick review, maximum of 0, or the exercise price minus the underlying, minus P0, which is the option premium. The maximum profit is the exercise price minus the option premium, and the maximum loss is the option premium. When you're long, it doesn't. If you buy a call or buy a put, don't forget you've got the right but not the obligation. So when you're long, the maximum loss is the option premium. Okay, you just don't exercise it. That's it. It's different on the short side though. The break-even underlying price at expiration is the exercise price minus the option premium. When one sells a put, the results are reversed. Okay, so I've put 3 points here in bold. Option questions are not difficult. Always start with what did I pay or what did I receive? And then at expiration, do I have the right or the obligation to buy or sell? And remember just the basic concept, sell high and buy low, or buy low and sell high, and these questions become not all that difficult. So now we're going to go through the standard long and short positions, and we're going to look at the calls first, okay? So in this situation, the exercise price is 100, the call premium is $7, okay? And so we're going to start with, and just remember with a call, if I buy a call, I have the right but not the obligation to buy the stock, okay? It gives me the right but not the obligation to buy a call if I'm long. If I'm short, if I sell the call, it gives me the obligation, okay? It's the obligation to sell the stock, okay? So let's start with the long call first. If I buy the option, I have to pay for the option. In this case, the premium is $7. So my maximum loss is $7 because recall, at expiration, if the stock price is less than the strike price, the exercise price, I'm not going to exercise the option. I'm just going to lose my $7. That's it. So just be careful. So let's look on the y-axis. We've got the profit and loss. So we can see here when I buy the call, I'm minus 7. That's my maximum loss. And on the x-axis, I've got the price of the underlying. Okay. So sometimes I've seen practice questions where they ask something as simple as, where is the kink in the graph? We can see the kink in the graph is always at the exercise price. Okay. Now don't forget, so I've got the right but not the obligation to buy at 100. But I paid $7 for that right, okay? So what is my break even? It's always going to be the exercise price plus the $7. So remember, the break even is just the exercise price plus the premium. Now in theory, that stock price can go up to infinity. So therefore, I've got the right but not the obligation to buy at 100. Stock price has gone to infinity. So what's my maximum profit to the buyer? It's infinity. What's the maximum loss to the seller if I'm not covered? We'll talk about that in the next LOS. Covered call. If I'm not covered and I have to go out and buy the stock, then my maximum loss also could be infinity. Okay, so you can see the maximum loss to the buyer again is just that option premium because I have the right but not the obligation to do anything, and I've paid $7 for that right. Now, if we move over now to the short on the call, I sold the call. My maximum profit is the $7. That's it. I've sold the call. I received the premium. That's my maximum profit. Okay. So again, the premium is $7. Exercise price was 100, and the break even is 107. Okay. So now we're going to look at determining the value at expiration and the profit for a call buyer under the following outcomes. So the exercise price is 100. The price of the underlying is 102. And you can exercise the right to buy at 100 and sell for 102. So the profit is 2, okay? However, we paid $7 for that option. So the total profit is -7 plus the 2. So we have a loss of 5, okay? And be careful, you're going to exercise that option at any price above the exercise price, even if you still have a loss, okay? Because your loss will be less than the premium that you paid. Okay. Now, if the price of the underlying at expiration is 94, I have the right but not the obligation to buy at 100. Why would I buy at 100 if I can buy for 94? So again, the option is not in the money. The value is 0, so you're going to lose the premium. Okay. So again, these questions are not too difficult. Just remember, I have the right but not the obligation to buy or sell. What did I pay? Or what did I receive at expiration? What's my choices? So now we're going to look at when we sell the call. Okay, so we're going to determine the value at expiration and the profit for a call seller. So remember, when I buy a call, it gives me the right but not the obligation to buy. If I sold the call, it gives me the obligation to sell the stock, okay? I have to sell it. Now, if I own the stock, it means I'm covered, and that's what we talk about covered calls in the next LOS. But if I don't own the stock and I have to sell it, it means I need to go out in the open market and buy it, and that's why my maximum loss is theoretically infinite, okay? So in this case, we're going to look at the price of the underlying is at 91. So remember, the exercise price was 100. The option is not in the money. The buyer has the right to buy at 100. The seller has an obligation to sell at 100. But why would the buyer of the call exercise the option and buy at 100 when he can buy in the market, or he or she can buy in the market at 91? So the value of the option is 0, and the profit to the seller is the $7, which was the premium when they sold the call, okay? Now, if the price of the underlying at expiration is 101 and the exercise price is 100, then the option is in the money. There's a value, intrinsic value of $1. So the seller has to sell at 100 and buy the shares at 101, which is a loss of -1. So the profit to the seller is the $7 premium minus the $1 loss equals $6, okay? Now we're going to look at the standard long and short position, but we're going to look at the puts. So remember, if I buy a put, I have the right but not the obligation to sell the stock, okay? I have the right to sell. And if I sell the put, I have the obligation to buy the stock, okay? So in this case, we're looking at the price of the underlying being 62, but the put premium is $4 and the exercise price is 60. Okay, so we'll start again from the long position. So we have the right but not the obligation to sell at 60. So we want the price to go down, and that's why put options are convenient. If there's a situation where you can't short sell the stock, you think the price of the stock is going to go down, you'd like to short sell it, but you can't. But if you buy a put, you're going to profit as the stock goes down, okay? So I've paid $4 for that right, but not the obligation to sell the stock at 60. If the price doesn't go down, it's going to expire worthless. For example, if it's still at $62, why would I sell at 60 when I could sell at 62 in the market, okay? So it would expire worthless. So therefore, if we look, where's the kink? The kink is always in the line, is always at the exercise price, but where's the break even? It's 60 minus the premium. So you can see here the exercise price minus the put premium. Recall, for the call, the break even was the exercise price plus the call premium. Well, with puts, where I have the right but not the obligation to sell, I want the price to go down. Okay, so there's the break even. It's the exercise price minus the put premium. Now, stocks. Now you can see the maximum profit or loss is different than on the calls. On the calls, it was unlimited because theoretically the price of a stock can rise to infinity, but the price of a stock can only fall to 0. Okay, so you can see here the maximum profit and the maximum loss is just the 56, the break even. Okay, and that's it. So if we look from the point of view of selling the put, I have the right. I've got the obligation to buy. So if the stock price, I have the obligation to buy at 56. If the stock price goes down to 0, my maximum loss is going to be 56. Okay. So now we're going to determine the value at expiration and the profit for a put buyer. So that gives you the right to sell under the following outcomes. So the price of the underlying at expiration is 62. The exercise price is 60. So I have the right but not the obligation to sell at 60. Why would I do that when the market price is 62? Because remember, I want to sell high and buy low. So this option is not in the money. The buyer has the right to sell at 60. Why would the buyer of the put exercise and sell at 60 when he can sell at 62? So the value of the option is 0. The profit to the seller is the $4, the premium, and the loss to the buyer is the $4, the premium. Okay? But let's look now at the situation where the price of the underlying at expiration is 55. I've got the right to sell at 60. So remember, we had for the maximum it was 0 for the or exercise price minus the underlying. So in this case, for a put, when I'm long on the put, so I have exercise price 60 minus the underlying 55, I have a profit of $5, okay? So this is carrying on from the previous LOS. The option's in the money, the value is 5. But what we didn't do in the previous LOS is we didn't look at, oh, well, we had to buy that option, so what was my break even and what was my profit, okay? So the seller has the right to sell at 60, buys the shares at 55, so I have a gain of 5, but I had to pay for that right. I had to pay for the premium. So the profit to me, the buyer, is the $5 less the premium of 4, so I had a profit of 1. Okay, these are not too difficult. Just remember, I have the right but not the obligation to do something. What did I pay for that? What did I receive? And then at expiration, what are my rights or what are my obligations? So let's do a quick practice question to check our understanding. An investor purchases a 3-month put option on a stock with an exercise price of $35. The risk-free rate is 4.5%. At expiration, the stock price is $33.50. The option's payoff is closest to A, 0, B, $1.48, or C, $1.50. Okay, this is asking for a put option, and so we have the right to sell. Okay, so we want to sell high. So we have the exercise price at 35, and at expiration, the stock price is at $33.50. So remember with the puts, the profit is maximum 0, or the exercise price minus the price of the stock at underlying. So that's 35 minus 33.50 equals the $1.50. Okay, so the correct answer is C. We didn't need anything here on the risk-free rate. That's put in there as red herring information. So when I look at a question like this, they didn't talk about the option premium. Let's say I had to pay an option premium of $2, then what would my profit be? Well, I bought that option, so that would be a negative. So I would have a loss of 0.50. Okay. So in this question, they weren't giving us any type of premium, but we could add that to the question and just say that we learned in the previous LOS what the value of the option is. That's our profit. We just have to, if I'm long the option, I just have to deduct what I paid for that right. And so in this example, and that's sometimes when I look at a practice question, I say, oh, how could this be changed or modified or made a little bit different? Well, all we'd have to do is add some information in the question about what I paid for that, and then change the question to the, from payoff to what the profit is. Okay? So these, not too difficult. Okay, here's another practice question. When the underlying stock price is 95, an investor pays $2 for a call option with an exercise price of 95. If the stock price moves to 96, the intrinsic value of the call option would be closest to A, -$1, B, $0, or C, $1. The correct answer here is C. The intrinsic value of a call option is the stock price less the strike price, if that difference is positive, and 0 otherwise. So the stock is trading at 96 and can be purchased for 95. Buy low, sell high, so the intrinsic value is $1. So the intrinsic or exercise value is the amount in the money, and the option price equals the intrinsic value plus the time value. I'm just going to finish this LOS by taking a screenshot of the ebook, and you can see that the practice problems here, there's not multiple choice questions, so we're not going to work through more examples in this video, but what you should do is go to the ebook, the text, and work through the practice problems at the back. And I just want to show you here, you can see that there's not too many multiple choice questions here. So we're just going to review this quickly and to show you that this LOS is basically finished. A little bit more work for you to do is just go back and work through these scenarios. I don't have a lot more practice problems, okay? So the first one, consider a call option selling for $4 in which the exercise price is 50. So you determine the value at expiration and the profit for the buyer under the following outcomes. Well, the price of the underlying at expiration is 55. So I have the right but not the obligation to buy at 50. Buy low, sell high. I'm going to buy at 50, sell it at 55, profit of 5, minus the, I had to pay the premium for that, 4, so I'd have a profit of 1, okay? The price of the underlying at 51, I have the right but not the obligation to buy at 50. I'm still going to sell it at 51. I'm going to have a loss of -$3. I paid $4 for the option, but I'm only making $1 profit on the stock, but I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to exercise as long as the option is expiring in the money, okay? And the price of the underlying is at 48, but I have the right but not the obligation to buy at 50. Why would I exercise my option to buy at 50 when I could buy it at 48 in the market, okay? So B, determine the value at expiration and profit for a seller. So I've got the the seller, I've got the obligation to sell the stock, okay? So the price of the underlying is at 49. I have the obligation to sell at 50. So think about this one for a second. You know, the person that bought the option has got the right but not the obligation to buy at 50. Why would they exercise that and give me the obligation to sell at 50 when they can buy it at 49? The option's not in the money, so nothing's going to happen. Now the price of the underlying is 52, so the buyer has the right but not the obligation to buy at 50. I have to sell at 50. I have to buy at 52 if I'm not on a covered call. So I'm going to lose $2, but I receive the premium of $4. So I have a loss of $2. Okay. Now the price of the underlying at expiration is 55. I've got the obligation to sell at 50. Okay. If I'm not covered, I need to go out and buy it at 55. I'm going to have a loss of $5, but I receive the premium of $4. I'm going to have a loss of $1. So the reason why I did that quick practice question, I just wanted to show that, you know, don't be intimidated by all the nomenclature that they're using here with regards to the call. The maximum is 0, or the price, the underlying minus the exercise price. Just talk it out, you know. I have the right but not the obligation to buy at 50, buy low, sell high. So in the first case, when the price is at 55, I'm going to buy the stock at 50. I'm going to sell it at 55. I have a profit of 5, but I had to pay for that right, $4, so I have a profit of 1. Okay, so you can see if we go through A and B there for the first example, the call buyer and the call seller, I think we got our math right. And as I said, the key to these questions is just talk your way through it. I don't get hung up on memorizing all the formulas and the nomenclature like that. I always think buy low, sell high, buy low. I have the right or I've got the obligation to do something, okay? So I'm just going to scroll through the practice problems here again to show you question number 2. It's not multiple choice. It says, suppose you believe that the price of a particular underlying currently selling at 99 is going to increase substantially in the next 6 months. You decide to purchase a call option expiring in 6 months, and the call option has an exercise price of $105 and it sells for $7. So you're going to determine the profit under the following outcomes. So it's the same thing. I've got the right, but not the obligation to buy at $105. If the stock is at 99, my loss is going to be $7. I'm not going to buy the stock at 105, exercise my option when I can buy it for 99. So you just go through these same. If we look at the last one, $115, well, I've got the right, but not the obligation to buy at 105, buy low, sell high. I'm going to buy it for 105, sell it for 115. I've got a profit of $10. And, but I had to pay $7 for that right. So I'd have a profit of $3. Okay. So again, it's talking about the break even at expiration. Check that your answer is consistent, etc. So again, you can see question number 3. It's talking about the determine the value at expiration and profit for a buyer under the following outcomes. Again, there's no multiple choice questions here, okay? Number 4 is just moving on to the put options. So you're working through the same types of calculations, but on the put. Question number 5 now is getting into the next LOS, okay? And that's it. There's 8 practice questions. 7 and 8 are on the covered calls and the protective puts. So that's all there is to this last reading on the derivatives. Okay? And with that, that's the last for this LOS. Thank you.